Megtooth sabers requires a lot of work on engineering, drilling, smoothing, tapping, setting, imagining, cutting, stripping, twisting, dipping, tin it, pin it, wire it, fire it, lock it, blast it, swing it, bash it. Megtooth sabers. Bam! We're live. So, greetings everybody for joining. Hey, Max, Melissa, Brian. I see some others out there. Cole Weathers is on. He's early. Smooth Jazz family. Hey, everybody. Tonight we're going to finish up this project. I can't say it because you know who is in the other room. But at any rate, we're finishing up this project. I don't know if Melissa's going to be able to see that. So the big thing is tonight's live stream is going to be about making the config file for this. So just really quick, Melissa, because I got to get into it because we'll have a lot of work to do tonight. I'll turn the volume down on it, Melissa. Sorry about the intro being so loud. I'll turn down the volume on it for next week. Yeah, so I'm wearing my, if y'all watch my live streams, the funny thing is I was wearing this sweatshirt and Jen came to pick me up one time. And I got in the car, and Ukulele Girl's in the back seat, and she goes, "Mom doesn't like your sweatshirt." Everybody laughed. No, I like it. You know, I'm a nerd. I wear stuff like this. You know, funny thing is, like, Britton Woolley probably can't stand it because he's, you know, he doesn't believe the Earth is round. But huge NASA fan. I watched Space Station Flyer tonight. But aside from that, I wanted to let everybody know what we're going to be doing tonight. So one of the most difficult parts, well, supposedly difficult parts of putting a Proffie board in your lightsaber is programming the Proffie board to make it do all the cool things that we want it to do. So I did see the update that Griff's doing your chassis, Melissa. So tonight what we're going to do, and this will be a little bit difficult for you, Melissa, because I'm going to be doing a lot of screen shares and basically writing my config file, so I'm not sure how much of this you're going to be able to see, but I'll try and describe it as good as I can. But basically we're going to be making a config file for the Proffie tonight, and we're going to share it with you and let y'all do the play-by-play. Now, for this particular saber, y'all are going to think I'm crazy. I have 3 of my first run Proffies from the TRA run left. And this saber is going to get one of these Proffie 1.5s. Now, a lot of people are like, you know, Proffie 1.5, well, why not Proffie 2.2? Well, this is a family saber. I have 3 Proffie 1.5s left. I'm going to use them. There's nothing wrong. There is no difference between Proffie 1.5 and Proffie 2.2 functionally. You know, Proffie 2.2 has some additional features that haven't even been turned on yet, but for all intents and purposes, a Proffie 1.5 and a Proffie 2.2 are the exact same board. So we're going to get into it. Oh, I know. I saw those boards. Cal release those today. Hey, is my audio too loud, Melissa? My mic? As I turned my mic down a little bit last week, I just want to make sure it's not too loud for Melissa. I turned it up a little bit. Yeah, there's nothing wrong with 1.5. So right now I'm going to go to a Windows share, and I might resize me down here because we don't really need to see me. We need to see the window. And I'm going to be off the chat for a little bit, but y'all hang in there. I'm going to open a new window, and I understand that y'all can't see the address bar, so I'm going to kind of minimize the window so y'all can see the address bar. And this is if you get a Proffie and you have no idea what to do as far as making your config file. And I'm going to go to Google. We're going to make this easy. And I'm going to look up Proffie board in Google, Proffie board. And you can see we got Proffie board V2, Proffie board 1, and you know, I'm using a Proffie board 1.5, which is this website. Now you can tell it's a 1.5 because it has the larger buttons here. That's the telltale giveaway between a 1.5 and a 2.2. But here's how I start making the config file. Number one, I use this program, which is a WordPad. It's a simple WordPad document, and here it is. It's blank. We're going to be filling this in a bit. But another thing that I've done, which I want to show you, is I've created a folder called the Princess Saber, and another folder called SD Contents, which is currently blank. But by the end of tonight, that folder will no longer be blank. We're going to be putting stuff in there. But right now, we're going to go back to this Proffie board page, and I'll check on chat every now and then, trying to check in on y'all. Sweet. All right, so I'm going to be out of chat for a while, guys. So it's going to be crazy, Melissa. But I'm describing what we're doing here. We're on the Proffie board website, and we're going to scroll down until we get into this section here called the configurator. The configurator. Now, on the configurator, whatever I set up and decide to add, it's going to give me a wiring diagram for what I'm adding, but it's also going to give me a sample config file. And I'll take that sample config file and we're going to do a lot more things to it. So you see, if you add an OLED, you get the wiring diagram for the OLED, and if you add Bluetooth, you get the wiring diagram for Bluetooth. You kind of get the picture. I'm not going to add any of those in this saber. But if y'all remember, this saber does have a stock lit connector. So it's going to have two blades. So I'm going to say it's NeoPixel dual, even though it's not really dual. It's just got an accent. And I'm probably not going to wire it in this way. And I'm only going to use one of those pads, but this will give us a starting point for our config. So when you do all this here, what happens on this page is it automatically generates a sample config file for you. The page generates the sample config file, and here it is. So I'm going to highlight all this text. Oops. And I'm going to copy, right-click, copy, and I'm going to open my blank document. And now I'm going to paste. Paste. There, now I have my sample config file in my blank WordPad document. Now I'm going to do some other stuff here because this drives me crazy organizationally. I'm going to get rid of the line spacing between the paragraphs that the paste did. I don't want 10 spaces. I want single spaced. And bam. Now, we've got our sample config file on here. Now, what we're going to do is one at a time, I'm going to be putting new configs in there. If you look, each config, for those of y'all that know, each preset has two blades in it, and we're going to be replacing both those blades with some of Fernando's stuff. But the bottom line is I didn't have to type any of this code. It was automatically generated on Frederick's Proffie board page. So number one is I do have two blades and two buttons. I'm going to go ahead and set the volume at, I don't know, 2400. And max LEDs per strip here, you never want to change this. It's not how long your blade is. That's actually the max LED, that's the LEDs per meter that you get there. And you keep that at 144 unless you're using KR strips. And then refer to Fernando's video there. Class threshold, I'm going to initially put at 1.9. And I'm just going to leave the defines how they are at the top there. All these defines, I'm going to leave them there. I'm not doing anything really special with this tonight. I'm making a very basic config. Now, my blade length is actually down here. You can see it says 144 pixels there in our first blade. So this is our first blade here. And that's actually going to be, I'm going to change that. That's going to be 131. And then in this blade, which is our stock lit connector, it's only 5. So I'm going to drop that down to 5 neopixels. And I'm not going to be using 4, 5, and 6. I'm just going to say we're going to be using 4, and we'll just use 4. We'll just use 4. Probably going to get an error there. I don't know why we need the 2 parentheses there. Let me go and check chat. Blah, 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 blah. I'm checking chat here real quick. Yeah, I can't do anything with the website, Melissa. This is not going to be very good for you. This is for the guys that are and girls that are out there programming their sabers. But at any rate, I've changed the blade array. I might get an error there. I might not. I don't remember. I'll go back and compare it against another config that I know that works. But at any rate, I'm ready to roll. So the key thing that y'all need to know when you're working with these presets, and I'm going to put space between each of the presets, is a preset contains the name of the font folder you're using, and I use simpler names, and then a track that you have playing along, and 2 blade styles, because this saber has 2 blades. So I'm already telling you, you know what lightsaber this is for, so my first preset is going to be Princess. And the track is going to be Princess Wave. Princess Wave. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to go over to our Princess Saber folder, SD contents, and I'm going to write a new folder called Princess. New folder, we're going to title this one Princess. Lowercase, same as it is in our config. And I'm also going to make another new folder called Tracks. Oops, wanted to rename that. Why isn't it letting me rename that? What's going on? Tracks. There. Now, I'm going to go ahead and add the font in there. So I'm going to go to Proffie fonts, and I'm looking for royalty. PQR. You know what? That's going to be in another folder. Stand by. So it's probably going to be in. Chirophonic Monday. There it is. Royalty. Royalty. And I want, I don't want to do that. I want royalty for Proffie, and I'm going to select all these files, copy them, and I'm going to paste them into the Princess folder. A lot of people don't understand the root, and they're putting too many subfolders in. The bottom line is, when my config file, I'm going to go back to my config file. Here on my first preset, it's looking for a folder called Princess, and that Princess folder should contain all the fonts that comprise royalty, and it does. And I'm going to go back to it, and you can see I have a folder called Princess, so it's going to look for this folder, and when it opens that folder, it's going to see all the files associated with that font. Now, tracks. I said we need a Princess Wave, and I think I have a Princess Wave here in my music tracks folder. If I don't, I'll go into, I don't have it. So what I'll do is I'll go into royalty, and he usually has extras and stuff. Stand by. Tracks. Let's see here. Yep, that's what we need, I think. Let me listen to this one. I know y'all are going to get an echo. All right, that's the track I need. So I'm going to copy this one. But if you'll remember, we had it called Princess Wave. So I'm going to paste it into our tracks folder. And I'll show you all this in a second again. I'm going to rename this. Oops. Princess Wave. Princess Wave. All right. So let's close out of this. And I'm going to go all the way out of this again. So let's close this folder. Again, I made a folder on my desktop, and I called it the Princess Saber, and then I have a subfolder called SD Contents. I'm going to open that folder, and then I have 2 folders in there right now. Princess, which is Kyberphonics royalty font, and there it all is. And then I also have a tracks folder, and it has a wave called the Princess Wave. So I'm going to close out of all that. Now I'm going to go back into my config file, and you can see that I have it calling for the Princess sound font and using the tracks folder Princess Wave within my SD card. So now we're ready for blade styles. And I know y'all are thinking, well, why did I do some of the stuff that I do? Who knows? Let me see if there's any questions here about pixel sticks. Yeah, pixel sticks is different, Ron. You got to refer to, I haven't built one yet, but I know that a lot of others did some other stuff. And I want to say to Jesse, hey, Jesse, once I get a better sound system, I'll try to do a better video than last week. I was kind of disappointed in the sound that was coming out of my Saber, so I'm sorry to everyone that my sound system sucks. Hey, Chet Osborne. Hey, Avise. Greg B, good to see y'all, and back into writing this config. So now we're going to go to Fernando's site. Now I have it bookmarked, but let's say you don't. Hey, what's that Fernando thing again? I'm going to put FET263 into Google. Let's see if it finds him. FET263, Proffie board style library. There it is. Now I'm going to be programming this on OS, I don't know, whatever's a modern version. Now, it's good to donate to Fernando, who's making all this happen. So let's make a $20 donation to Fernando here while we're at it. Hopefully it doesn't show my password. It doesn't. And bam, we're sending Fernando 20 bucks. Thank you, Fernando. We're getting ready to grab some of your blade styles, and I'm paying you for your time and maintaining the website and all that stuff, because I know that's not free. But anyway, thank you, Fernando, for all the stuff you do for us. And now we're going to go on blade styles. So this Princess Leia lightsaber, hey, what? Well, I'm going to have to ask this in chat, because I don't know, because I can't remember. What color is Princess Leia's saber? I think it's blue. I think it's blue. What color is Princess Leia's saber? I'm waiting for y'all to answer. I know there's a delay, but I'm pretty sure it's blue. Blue. Thank you, Sean. So we're going to go on Fernando's website on his library, and I'm going to maximize this. By the way, hopefully y'all can see the address in there, but if not, you just Google FET263. But I'm going to maximize it so we can see. And I'm going to look for an audio flicker, Jedi and Sith NeoPixel styles. Canon audio flicker, that's what I want. So I want to go get style code. And now, is it dark blue or light blue, Leia's saber? Do you think it's more cyan, or is it just blue? I'm just going to go blue, but lighter tone of blue. They say lighter tone of blue, Sean says. Well, okay, then we'll go to this deep sky blue. So if you look, like once you pick one of Fernando's, I'll get rid of this. So once you say, hey, I've watched this video and I like this blade style, I already know I like this style, and I'm going to click style code, well, then it comes down and gives you all these color options to be your beginning color. And so I'm going to go with this Jedi Deep Sky Blue, and I'm going to customize and enhance. I don't want a pre-on, ignition time of 300. I'm going to make that 500. And retraction 500. I don't want any crazy effects going on. Lockup effect, I want mid blade. Full blade flash on clash on the begin transition. I do want lightning block, stab, and clash. I want mid blade as well. But other than that, I'm not going to do any modifications. So now I'm going to get that style. And now it's copied to clipboard. I'm going to click OK. Now, there is now a blade style on my clipboard, on my computer. I'm going to go back to our config file, and I'm going to paste that blade style in. And so Now we have our first blade style. I'm going to pull that up. And the part where it says cyan there is not important yet. We'll get to there. And I'm going to put a comma after those parentheses. But now remember, we have two blade styles, so I'm going to have to do this again. Now I know y'all are like, well, why did you do the V4 version of the stock pixel connector, and I did it for one of these blade styles only, and I know there's ways to do it with subblade. I don't care. Look, if this tutorial helps y'all program multiple blade sabers, and it does, yes, there's a gazillion ways to do one of the stock pixel connectors, to do it in series with your main blade or to do it on sub blades. I just do it as two separate blades. It just makes my life easier. I don't trust sub blades. The reason I don't trust sub blades is because if you lose a pixel on that sub blade string, you just lost your whole string. That's why I don't like sub blades. At any rate, we're going to go to our next preset. And let's see here. Let's check in on chat and see where we're at. Blue, blue, blue. Red. It's not red, Adrian. That's Princess's saber. Deep sky blue will look good. Yeah, I use deep sky blue. All right, so we're on. So we're doing good. So let's go back to our config file. And, you know, now we've got our first preset. And just really quick, again, the preset starts at this parentheses here, and it's looking for a font called Princess, which we've made in our folder, and it's looking for a tracks called Princess Wave, which we've got, and then it needs two blade styles, because if you'll remember, when we put number of blades in our configurator, we put 2, so it needs 2 different blade styles. And we basically use the same blade style for the NeoPixel connector and for the main blade. The NeoPixel or the main blade is first, and the stock connector is second. And this thing that says Scion in quotes there, and then it ends the first preset, that's just what's going to be displayed if you had an OLED screen, which we don't have an OLED screen, so that doesn't matter. Next, I'm going to go to my second preset, and I'm going to change the font name, and I'm going to call this one, you know, Ray wielded that saber. So I'm going to, I don't know, let's use Scavenger. So I'm going to use Kyberphonic Scavenger's Destiny. Lowercase Scavenger is what we're going to call the folder. And I'm going to be looking for a wave called Scavenger Wave. And I'm going to delete these 2 blade styles because we're going to do a different blade style. And the reason I'm doing this is because I'm sure that at some point in time, Ray wielded this lightsaber, so Scavenger is probably appropriate on there. So let's go back to my Princess Saber folder, SD contents. I need a new folder, and we're going to call this Scavenger. And then we're going to go get Kyberphonic sound font for Scavenger, which I think it's on Kyberphonic Monday folder there. Scavenger's Destiny, there it is. And we want it for Proffie, and there it is. Bam. Copy. I'm going to paste it into our folder. And then we need that Scavenger Wave, right? And I know we're going to get an echo, but I'm going to have to unmute my computer, so you're going to get an echo. But I'm going to go into my tracks folder, and we need a Scavenger Wave. Now, again, in Jesse's fonts, he often includes tracks for you. Here's where you're going to get the echo. I like that one. So we're just going to copy track 2. Hopefully the echo's gone away. And we're going to paste, and we're going to call this Scavenger. I don't know why that happens, y'all, but it does. And we're going to call this Scavenger Wave. And that's in my tracks folder. So here we are in this folder that we started at the beginning, and it was blank. And now we have Princess, Scavenger, and we have 2 tracks, Princess and Scavenger, which y'all can name your tracks whatever you want. The important thing is that they have to match the config file. So now we've got our config file, our second preset's using sound font Scavenger. It's using tracks Scavenger Wave. Now we need blade styles. So again, going back to Fernando's website and going to grab another blade style. Now I know Fernando has a Scavenger's Destiny blade style. Now I gotta find it. So I'm looking for a video with a yellow blade. What the hell? Oh, there you go. Raise fully responsive gold blade. Bam, get style code. I want it. Main blade. Okay. And I'm going to paste, comma at the end, return, because I like my blades separated by space. It's just I'm anal like that. But could you have all the text together? Sure you could. And we don't really need this, but I'm going to just say gold. And there's our second preset. So you can see this goes pretty quick when you got Fernando's site. How much code have you guys seen me write? I haven't written any code. I have not written any code on this. The only thing I did is modified my blade length, and modified the volume and the clash sensitivity. Other than that, I'm copying and pasting. This doesn't get any easier. Don't tell me this is easier to modify this on the SD card. Once you start making these config files, you're golden. All right, so next we're going to go to our third preset. And let's see, our third preset, let's go unstable. And we're going to go tracks Kylo Wave. I know where I'm going to grab that at. Kylo Wave. And then I want to return. And I'm going to get rid of these style fires there. And and we're ready to go get another Fernando blade style. But before we do that, let's go ahead and make our track for our font and track for this preset. So I'm going to go to our folder, Princess Saber, SD contents, and I'm going to make a new folder. And I'm going to call this one Unstable. Bam. And I'm going to open that, and then I'm going to go to Kyberphonics sound fonts that I have here, Unstable. Now, he's got two versions. I'm going to go with version 2, Proffie, and there they all are. There's all the sound fonts that comprise Unstable 2. I'm going to copy those, and I'm going to paste them into this folder. Paste. Here they come. Bada bing. We have that. Now, I have my music tracks, and I'm going to go grab a Kylo Wave. I'm pretty sure I've got a Kylo Wave on here. I'll play it for y'all. I won't be able to hear it, but hopefully you guys will be able to hear it. I'm going to check on the chat here in a minute, but, you know, bam, there's your Kylo Wave. So I know that's good. So I'm going to copy the Kylo Wave, and I'm going to open our tracks folder, and I'm going to paste our Kylo Wave into the tracks folder. Bam. And you can see the more of this you do, and the more, you know, stuff you have saved, the easier it gets. You know, here we are, we're 3 presets into making this config, and, you know, we're in Fuego. All I got to do is add blade styles on this now, which we're going to do that here in a second. Let me catch up on the chat really quick. I'm going to change the main blade to a color, not the main blade from FET 263, e.g. hot pink. You can actually go into the blade style editor, which we'll have to do another video on that. Actually, you know, Fernando's got tons of videos on how to use the style editor, and Fernando's really, yeah, Fernando SE answers it down there. Okay. We'll see you, Melissa. I'm sorry this one isn't a good video for you. We'll see you later, Melissa. Okay. Now, back to, we needed an unstable blade, right? So I'm going to scroll around, and I'm looking for a Kylo Ren crossguard saber. Oh, here we go. Rage, unstable, blade style. That's a variation. I want his original. Not fully responsive. I don't like the fully responsive ones. Erratic, unstable. I'm always looking for his crossguard saber, because Fernando usually demos unstable blade styles on his crossguard. Pull to darkness, no. I probably already passed it because I'm like speed scrolling. Original fire blade, where is it, Fernando? My God, you got so much here that I'm having trouble getting to it. All right, so there's the original, blah, 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 blah. Looking for a cross guard. Film-based Kylo Ren unstable blade. That's what I wanted. So I want the style code, and I want it red. Customize. It should still have my stuff saved in it. Everything mid-blade. 500, 500, bada bing. Get style. Okay. I'm going to go to the config file, and now we're in the unstable. First blade style. Paste. Comma after the double parentheses. Double space. Here's the second blade. Paste. Comma after the double parentheses. I'm not coding nothing. And, you know, we can just continue this on and on and on. I'm only going to do one more preset, and then I'm going to call it a day. Next, we're going to do, I think we should do, what's a good one from, we'll do balance from K-Sith, and we'll do ray wave here. Ray wave. And let's see, let me make some space there so I know what we're doing here. And I'm going to delete these two blade styles. We're going to go grab two more from Fernando. And going back to Fernando's site, closing this. And let's go back up here. And we're probably going to pretty much use the same blade styles we did before. We're going to use a Jedi Deep Sky Blue one. And I know that that's the one we want. And go into paste, comma after the double parentheses, and then paste for the second blade style, comma after the double parentheses, and blah, 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 blah. Now, I'm going to delete the rest of these blade styles because I'm not going to use these presets. Now, I'll probably make a more complex config file later, but I wanted to get this done tonight. So, okay. Now I'm going to use, didn't want to do that. Go undo. There we go. I'm going to go here, and I'm going to use a font that we've already used. So I'm going to say Princess. This is my battery blade. Princess. And I'm going to use Mando Wave here. And style charging is the first blade. And I'm going to delete this second blade. And I want and style charging here too, which this is your battery meter blade. Now there's different ways to write this now, but I'm just going to use the factory battery style, the battery charging blade. So those are my two blade styles on this battery blade, is and style charging and style charging, and that's going to be my last preset. So there is our config file. Only thing I need to do is add Mando Wave into our font folder, which I'm going to do that right now. Close all this. Let's go back into our font folder. So I'm going back into the Princess Saber, SD contents, tracks, and we need to add Mando Wave in here. So I'm going to go to my music tracks folder. I have a music tracks folder with tons of music in it, so it's kind of quick. Mando Wave. I'll play it in the background while I'm adding it. How about that? So you guys can hear it. But I'm going to add the Mando Wave into my tracks folder, and our config file is complete. Now, the last thing I do on the config file when I'm making the config file is I'll go ahead and I'm going to save my config file on this SD card. So I'm going to go File, Save As. Oh, I got COVID. I'm just kidding. I don't have COVID. So it's on my desktop, and it's called Princess, isn't it? Princess Saber, SD contents. And now we're going to name this file princess_config.h. Oops, don't want to do that. Config.h. Save. Yes. Now, let's go look, and there is our config file. So our config file is now on our SD. So I'm going to copy this, copy, and let's say we're going to use 4.7. I'm not going to use the beta Proffie on this one. And I'm going to go to config folder, and I'm going to paste our config into the config folder. So there it is, princess_config.h. Let me go through that again so you guys can see that. So I have several different versions of Proffie up here. Has 2.66 with color change, 3.9, 4.6, and 4.7. And I also have 5.xx alpha. We're not going to use that. When you first open your folder that you've downloaded, you'll see it's in a subfolder called Proffie OS. Double click on Proffie OS. Your config file that you make needs to go in this config folder. We should scroll down here and see Princess. And indeed we do. There it is. It's in the config folder. And let's go back to that again. 4.7, which is the OS I'm using, Proffie OS. Our config is in the config folder. Now I've done some other stuff here I'm not going to go into tonight. This is a basic video. But now I want to check this config file we just made. So I'm going to open Arduino from within the Proffie OS folder. I'm opening Arduino. Let me go check the chat and see if you guys are still following along here. I don't want to update Arduino. Okay, looks like everybody's on it. So let me minimize again. So when I opened Arduino, I did not open Arduino over here on my desktop. I did not use this Arduino. You have to, again, let me close this. I'm going into my Proffie OS folder that I'm using, in the Proffie OS subfolder, and then I'm going to scroll down, and you see this Proffie OSino. When you open Arduino with that link, what it does is it opens Arduino with Frederick's sketch already in it. So there's like all of Frederick's brains, blah, 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 and that and all the folders, that's Frederick's brains. In the very beginning, it defines a bunch of config files. Here you can see on lines 24 through 43. So there's a lot of them. Now, these two forward slashes in front of the config files means it's going to ignore them. And I need to add some forward slashes here on this one. I don't want to update my libraries. I thought I already said that. So I'm going to add 2 forward slashes on that one. Now, we want to test my new config file. So I'm going to go number sign, define. We're going to get I bet we get a compile error, which will make you all happy because you'll have to see how I got to navigate it. Config file, config, and this is going to be, what did we say? princess_config.h quotes. So now we're going to test this config file and I'm going to check it. So I'm going to click this verify button. I'm not plugging in my Proffie yet. I'm just making sure the config will compile. So right now Arduino's checking it out, making sure the language is okay. The only thing I'm worried about is the blade defines I did at the bottom. So yeah, I got an error. Oh, let's select Proffie board V1. I was on Teensy V4. Let me show you all how I figured that out. See right here under my first error, it says please select Proffie board in tools and board. So the last one I programmed on here was a Teensy 4.0. We're not wanting to program a Teensy 4.0. We're wanting to program a Proffie board. And this one's actually a Proffie board V1, so I'm going to select Proffie board, not Proffie board V2, because it's a V1. Let's try that again. Check. Hopefully my blade defines are right. And hopefully we're going to be in business. Oh, it's looking good. It's always looking good when you get to full green. When you get to full green, she's looking good. And we're waiting for a report from that. And if we get a report, I'm going to pull y'all in and plug into this computer so you guys can see this. May go to the full scene. Hey, my config file compiled on the first time. It uses 78% of the program storage space. We are in business. But before we program the Proffie, let me check the chat and make sure y'all don't have any questions. Blah, 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 blah. Yep, Fernando and Frederick's brain is just blah, 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 blah. I don't understand any of that stuff in the Proffie OS. Like when you scroll down here and you're actually, this is the Proffie OS you're scrolling through. There it all is. To me, that's all blah, 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 blah. I don't understand any of that stuff. The only thing I do understand is where to define my config file up here. And you're lucky I can do that. But at any rate, let's write our SD card. Now, the cool part about this is as we made our config file, we already wrote our SD card. It's right here on our computer desktop. Now I'm going to plug in a micro SD card. Should hear my computer recognize it. My computer's on mute, and you can see that it's got, you know, all the stock fonts on it. Well, I don't want that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and format this SD card, format, and we're going to call this, you know what I'm going to call it. I can't say it. But there you go. Let's do a quick format. I know I'm supposed to use the other formatter, but I don't. This one works just fine. All right, so cool. Now we've got a blank SD card. You guys see what it's named there, right? And it's G. So now we're going to go back to our folder that we made with the SD contents, and it even has our config file on it. And we're going to highlight all those. And by the way, I'm a Windows 10 computer here, and I'm going to send them to our SD card. So we're sending all those files to our SD card, and then we're going to be able to plug in our Proffie. I'm going to have to turn on some lights here and bring you guys in so you guys can see all this. And I need to find a micro USB cable. I didn't know we were going to get this far tonight, but we are. Now, I don't know if these cables are tried and tested. My good cables are actually downstairs. So, all right, so our SD card's written. Now, I'm going to eject our SD card. Hopefully you guys are seeing all this. Right-click, eject. Bam, we're removing the SD card. And then I'm going to bring y'all over here. Stand by. Whoa. Hopefully the cord reaches. And let's go back, checking on the chat. Hey, Michael Dallin, good to see you. What I want to do is go back to scene here. Very good. All right. So now you guys can see the saber we're making a config for. And you see all of my V1 Proffie boards. Here's the SD card that we just programmed. And I'm going to open this package, which is the last of the V8 Anaceptus. This is the last of the Frederick's original TRA run Proffie boards. I have 3 left. I still have a bunch of Cal's V2s too. And I'm going to go ahead and plug in this SD card into our Proffie board. That we've already programmed this SD card, and now we want to program this Proffie board. So here we go. You don't have to program the board before you solder, Adrian. I just like doing it so I can check it out in the Now, I don't know if this cord's going to work because I haven't tested this one before, but this would be a test to see if this cord's a data cord or not. But I usually, oh yeah, this is a really nice hilt, Jesse. I can't wait to finish this thing. And your sound fonts are going to sound incredible on that thing. She's all ready to go. All we have to do is program this, and then next Monday we'll actually solder this board into the chassis, and this saber will be done. It's going to be awesome. This is actually an LGT, Jesse. But at any rate, it's a nice hilt. I really like it. So we got our Proffie board V1.5. We have our micro USB cord, and I'm getting ready to plug in. So let me get back to Windows Share, and we'll go back into Arduino so you guys can see what happens when I plug in. So I'm going to plug in the Proffie board, and hopefully we hear it recognize it. And we didn't, of course, because it's not a data cord. So let's try another one. Let's try another one. Hopefully this one's a data cord. My good data cord's down on the kitchen table. I forgot to bring it up. Let's try this. That one's not a data cord either. Oh no, it is. I forgot I got the sound muted. So let's see. Oh no. No, you know what? I think the other one was a data cord and this one's not. I forgot I had the damn sound muted on my computer. Let's go back to our original plug. Sorry guys. Forgot to bring up my programming card. Let's see if it recognizes here. And I don't know if it did or not. It's not recognizing it. Let's triple check in another port. I'm going to unmute here. It's going to give us feedback. Well, crap. These are all charging cords. I should have just ran down and got my other one. Put this. Y'all stand by. All right, I'm coming back at you. Sorry I had to abandon you. Had to go down and get the cord, but I'm back. Hopefully we're going to make this happen. Where are we at here? We're on Windows Share, and we're in the OS there. And hopefully y'all can see that Proffie board in the picture. I'm going to try and plug in here with my good cord. Bing. It recognized at that time. So you see it's setting up a device for setting up Proffie board. So my Proffie board's plugged in. Now I want y'all to notice I have not touched the boot and reset buttons. For you guys that are programming these, if you're constantly pressing the boot and reset buttons, you're just putting Proffie in the bootloader. You don't need to do that. If you're having to do that, that means you installed the drivers improperly. I've only run the Zadig on this computer once. And once you run it once, you're set up. If you messed up, you're going to need to watch Frederick's video, which I saw Fernando post today, and you're going to need to fix your computer. You got the wrong drivers on there if you're using Windows. But at any rate, now I'm going to go into Arduino here, and I'm going to look for the port. It's on COM3 Proffie board, and now I'm going to click Upload. This config file on the SD card we just wrote, upload, and she's going. Now, what I want y'all to watch is the progress screen once it finishes its compilation here, and notice that how it goes. So if you get a countdown where it goes 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, it didn't work. But if you see this progress down here in the bottom, and I'm actively scrolling down here in the bottom of the screen, and you can see the progress, 30, 33, 35, 36, 37, etc. That means it's actually programming our Proffie board. So this thing is programming. We're up to 57%, 65, 66, she's almost done. 77, 84, 86, 88, 90, 93, 95, 90. Oop, bam, it's done. So this Proffie is now programmed. And while it's plugged in still, I'm going to go to Tools, Serial Monitor, and you can turn the saber on, off, and you can see it's working there. So I'm actually typing the commands in the serial monitor, so I'm actually testing the board. Watch this. I'll turn it on, and then I'm going to swing it around, and you see all those swings playing. And I'm going to clash, 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 clash. And you can see it clashing. Now I'm going to turn it off. So that's just a good way to test. I'm going to run SD test. So right now it's running the SD test. And hopefully this is going to work out. Sometimes SD test has been throwing me for a loop. So it's actually running through every file in this Princess directory. There you go. And there is our SD test done. And that's a pretty good SD test, I would say. Bam. 12.38 audio streams, so that's good. 12.38 SAS. So that's a good SD card. So we're in business. That's it. That's all there is to do to write your config and to program your Proffie. I have a lot more in-depth videos on writing a config file for the Proffie. Let me shut that thing off. And I'm going to close out of all this and I'm going to go back to you guys. I have a lot more detailed videos on programming your Proffie. Let me get caught up in the chat here. Pastor related shipped. Howdy. Hey, Bobby Susan Bach. Can't see the left side of the screen with the info. Oh, I'm sorry. Well, let's do that again. I'm sorry, Smooth Jazz family. We'll do another program so you can see the left side of the screen. So I'm going to do a couple things here. So while we're still sharing the screen, I'm going to go back into Arduino and actually, you know what? Let's go back into this and let's do Windows Share, no preview. We're going to go back into Arduino. Hopefully that erased me and the Proffie out of the picture. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to select the wrong. I'm going to change. Let me change ports here, and then I'm not going to change ports on the Proffie. I'm going to try to get a bad upload so you guys can see what it looks like if you don't have the right port selected. Apparently, I'm not going to be able to do that. All right, see, now the port's grayed out. I'm going to do something here. Let's upload to it and see what happens. This is going to be a failed upload because the Proffie's not plugged in and I had no port selected. Bada bing. So if you don't have a port selected, you see where it says, okay, it compiled successfully, but then it goes to programming and it gives you a countdown 1 through 10. And then sometimes it'll say, you know, upload successful, but it's not. If you get this countdown like this, you were not successful. You weren't successful. So let's plug the Proffie back in. I don't know if you guys are hearing my system sounds or not, but I plugged the Proffie board back in, and now I'm going to go to Tools. It's on COM port 3. Bam, there it is. And let's go to upload to this Proffie board. And hopefully you guys can see all the progress now that we're sharing the screen without the picture-in-picture, and you guys can actually see what the upload progress looks like on the left side of the screen. Boom, it's uploading. You got to scroll down to capture this, but you can see the progress bar growing. And you can upload to a Proffie limitless number of times. You can do it however many times you want. You can reflash it. It's all golden. When it's uploading, you can do this all day long. And you can see it almost takes us longer to flash the Proffie in Arduino than it did to write the config file. There's nothing difficult about writing the config file. You just got to learn your way around what Frederick and Fernando have supplied for you. Between Frederick and Fernando and all the work that they've done, there's no rocket science in this. It's simply a matter of programming your saber, and there you go. So there we're programmed, and while I have it on the screen, I'm going to switch camera views here. And I'm going to come back to y'all live. Stand by. Bam, we're back in business. So there is our program Proffie. And it's just that easy, folks. There's nothing difficult about programming one of these Proffies. Tonight, we wrote a simple configuration file using Frederick's website and Fernando's blade style editor. And you can see that with a combination of both of those tools, the configurator on Frederick's website combined with Fernando's blade style site, there's nothing hard about this. If you want to add fonts on your Proffie, you just kind of copy what I did tonight, but you can just change the folder names. The important thing is that when you write your config file, you have to make sure that let's go back and open up our config file. Let's go back, and I got to go into screen share, so stand by. Let's go back into Streamlabs and do Windows share, and let's go back to our config file. And the important thing, let's scroll up in our config file, is you need to know what a preset is. So a preset begins at this bracket, and then first off it includes a folder called Princess, and it's going to look for a wave to play in the background if you choose to play background music called Princess Wave that's in the tracks folder. And we did make a tracks folder, and it does contain the Princess Wave. And then on this particular saber, we're going to have two blade styles because I defined up here that it does have two blades. So I have two blades, I need two blade styles, and there they are. There's one blade style, here's the second blade style. That is all that there is on a preset. And you don't have to write any of that code. Fernando and Frederick wrote it for you. I just copied and pasted a bunch of stuff in there. And we did that tonight. But let's say you didn't like this Princess font, which if you don't like Princess font by Kyberphonics, something wrong with you. You can just rename that Princess folder to whatever you want. So let's say I wanted that to be Luke. So I'm going to go back here and change this to Luke. And then I'm going to go to our SD that we made. I got to minimize all these windows. I got tons of stuff open. Back to my desktop. Back to our SD contents. And I change this from Princess to Luke. Oops. And it doesn't matter what's in the folder. It's going to play whatever font is in the folder. But since we changed it in the config, we have to change it on our SD. And then, of course, you need to remember to reprogram your SD card. But it's basically that simple. That's how simple it is. There's nothing complicated about these. And I have other videos on making a config file, programming your Proffie. I didn't talk about all the software you need to download. It's pretty simple. You download Arduino, you download the Proffie plugin, and then you run Zadig once. If you've run Zadig more than once, or every time you program your Proffie, you're sitting here pounding on these boot and reset buttons, you're doing something wrong. As soon as I plug in this Proffie board, boom, my computer recognizes it. I'm off to the races programming it. I'm not touching any of these buttons. If you're having to constantly manipulate those buttons, then you messed up. But that's pretty much it. I think we're pretty much where I wanted to be tonight. And so now we have a program Proffie. And I'm not going to reflash the new config file we changed on it, but we've got a program Proffie here that is ready to install in this saber. And next week, that is exactly what we're going to do. Hey, Willie J, good to see you. So next week, if y'all tune in, I'm going to be installing this Proffie into this saber, and it's going to be awesome. We've done all the hard work. It's all downhill from here. So Smooth Jazz family, this saber actually has two blades because it has a stock NeoPixel connector with it's a lit connector, and I'm programming this as a separate blade. And the reason that I'm doing that is so even when I have the blade out of it and I have a blade plug in here, it'll still light up and do all the stuff the lightsaber does even without a blade in it because it's a NeoPixel saber, but as a stock lit connector inside of there with 5 NeoPixels on it. So my second blade is the 5 NeoPixels on the stock connector. Yeah, Cole, you don't have to run Zadig if you have a Mac. Cole is absolutely right there. What's the best way to send power to a new Proffie that you aren't ready to fully install into a chassis? Just like this. This Proffie is right now powered, and I can actually run it in the serial modder just like this, and I did it tonight. Of course, you could add positive and negative wires to it and put some test stuff on it. Like, I'll show you. So here's a crazy Proffie test rig, and this was when I was testing NeoPixels versus the RGB LEDs, and we did this on a Megtooth Monday a few weeks ago, and I got a speaker wired to it, which one of the wires came off, and I have 2 switches, and I have a negative wire and a positive wire here to hook my test battery to, and I got a NeoPixel and a, you know, you can do all kinds of crazy stuff. But this was a test board that I wired up after I programmed it, which I showed that on Megtooth Monday Live, I don't know, a little while ago. But you can power a Proffie off USB, but it's not going to run NeoPixels or a speaker because it's getting minimum voltage through USB. It's only getting enough voltage for the board brain to work and to send signals to itself and to relay in the serial monitor what it's doing, but it's not getting enough power when it's hooked up to USB to run a lightsaber. So if you want to test how it is running a lightsaber before installing it, you're going to have to build up a prototype, you know, similar to this, just a quick prototype to test the features, but that's how you can do it. But at any rate, I think that's it for tonight. That's a lot. So if you tune in next week, we're going to be installing this Proffie. And we'll do that on the bench. We'll have all these cameras rolling. I'll have my helping hands, and you know, you guys will get to see my messed up soldering. And you know, I'm pretty excited for next week. We've been working for this is now the 5th episode of this saber on Monday Night Lives, and the 6th episode will probably be our final one. And it probably won't take me the full hour to install this thing. But y'all have to keep in mind that we've done a lot of the install work on these Monday Live videos leading up to this. So, you know, all in all, we'll probably have, I don't know, there's the chassis ready for the Proffie, and all the wires ready to wire into the Proffie. And if you've missed my previous 4 live videos on wiring up this saber, go back and watch my last 4 live videos because it's all been about wiring this saber. That's the advantage of being a subscriber on my channel, is you get to see stuff like that. And the folks that have been watching the Monday Night Live videos for the last 4 weeks have been watching an install over a period of several Mondays on this saber. And hopefully next week we'll be finishing it off. But I'm going to add the mother of pearl grip accents on there. I'm going to be adding some other cool stuff on that saber as we go. That saber has to be ready for December. And then after that, I'm going to be working on the some other sabers, trying to get them on out the door. But if anybody has any questions, once this video posts, it usually takes about 24 hours for this to post, then post your questions in the comments. I try to answer all the comments on my videos. I'm glad that y'all tuned in. Like and subscribe to my channel and tune in on every Monday night, and we're going to make this happen. Thank you guys for watching, and may the force be with you. We'll see you next week. Oh, Adrian, another question. Because I've got plenty of other work to do, Adrian. And plus, I'm primarily doing this for y'all. I mean, I don't need this saber until December. It's going to be a present, and I'm doing this for you guys. I have plenty of other sabers to play with and wield around, so this is just another one. But at any rate, we'll see y'all next week. Thank you, everybody, for watching. As usual, I really appreciate y'all tuning in on my channel. And as always,